Why is it that for you to get your breakthrough, it has to be so uncomfortable? Does God have anything to do with that? January 2021, I got laid off from a job. Many people are dealing with this issue right now. I was in contract for another property. I was doing some repairs inside of my homes, electrical related. Now, all these things kind of had to halt a bit because of that. But one thing I continued doing is remaining faithful, not just to what I'm planning on doing for the future, but faithful to God. Like giving is one thing I do all the time to charitable organizations on a monthly basis. And I didn't stop that because it showed that I was reliant upon my faith in order for me to see the next side. Going through layoffs is definitely like one of those things where you don't know what's coming next. You initially get this shock. Whenever you're about to go from that breakthrough season, you are hit with that shock unexpectedly. Could God have anything to do with that? I think partially. When you're seeking something from God at times and you're asking for certain things, you may be too comfortable where you're at, and He has to put you in an uncomfortable situation so that you're forced to a very narrow path to do this, and that. One thing I did around that time, I think I had about 25,000 in cash. I invested it all into Dogecoin because it dropped so low, and I saw an opportunity with where the markets were at. The markets were slowly recovering, but it wasn't at its peak yet. The economy was pretty stabilized, and I was like, I got to get into a crypto or any investment that I think is going to return me at least like 4 to 5x. Believe it or not, by March, it started coming up. By April, I was definitely in that 5x range. Not only did that happen, I also was able to find something. I got my contract with Morgan Stanley. I had several offers I was communicating back and forth in March by God's grace, but I ended up going to Morgan Stanley because I prayed about it. I was initially supposed to be doing work for Goldman Sachs, but that became cluttered. I kept praying, and the Morgan Stanley direction was a much better fit for me. And it was, because it allowed me to be compensated as a business now instead of me compensated as an employee. I have full control over my financials, retirement, HSA, all these different avenues that I can take and really offset taxes in a way that's most financially benefiting to me. I also got a new tenant at that time as well that were paying more than what the last people were paying, with no issues, no hassles, or anything like that. So by the grace of God, everything worked out in a way that at the same time too. And I don't think it's a coincidence, right? It all fell apart at the same time, seemingly, but it all came together at the same time. There were other situations too where I had that instance. Any type of relationships that you're leaving, that you were comfortable in, or something that you're doing, and in order for you to get that next step, you're starting to pray about it. You're asking God, I want to get here. But you're not doing enough to get there. He's going to give you that little nudge, that bing, that you need to really like get pushed along the way. Something recently happened. I had a tenant that was staying with me for quite some time, but for the better for her, she had to move on. And I had to completely understand and respect that. But when it happened in that instant, right, it's like they tell you they're leaving tomorrow, no notice. You're supposed to typically get a 30-day notice, but I didn't get that. Fortunately, holding on to that faith and seeing how things do. Between last week and this week, investments like started growing out of nowhere. It's been pretty stagnant for the past like 6 months, 8 months, and everything just started growing a bit. It's not to the point of where my investment returns or at where I want them to be, but it's shown me a sign that this happened at pretty much the right time. And I didn't see it that way in the heat of the moment. It took a couple of days. I think Saturdays when we started seeing things grow a bit, and I didn't realize, oh shoot, I'm not even a week in from when that happened, and I'm already seeing some positives to it, and planning out this renovation, how I'm going to fix certain things up to bring it up to a certain par. And that's all by God's grace, and we trust in God for that situation in that season. For those of us having businesses, running real estate, I can tell you, it's one of those businesses where you're going to be placed in an uncomfortable situation. You got to be able to communicate, manage the money, manage the relationships that you have with the people that are inside of your business, right? Your tenants. But it takes patience as well. And having that faith and understanding, not overreacting, and really that control, because we can get ahead of ourselves and do some stupidity things, and not just in real estate but in any business. But have that control and that faith. And I'm not only speaking this to you, but speaking this to myself too, because I'm also going through a season where I'm trying to expand, scale my business, and I have some current contract situations set up where I want to pull out of, but I want to do it in a way where it's a win-win for all sides, where it's contributing to all of us, and it's not seem that it's just only for me, right? How can we all benefit from this in the long run? And that's just the reality of every pretty much breakthrough that you're going to deal with. It's not going to be comfortable at all, because especially if you're not doing enough, you're going to get that little nudge so that way you can be pushed to the right direction. And you're going to be so uncomfortable. Like you might hit that shock, and then you got to get through that acceptance phase, right? This is how human emotions work. Once you get through the acceptance phase, you face in reality. Now you start planning on solutions. But the quicker you get through the solution phase is the quicker you'll think about and see the positives of everything. And I know it's hard to see while you're in the heat of the moment, but that's just the reality of how it works. But just know and understand that your breakthrough requires that. You just got to be able to have that patience to see it through. So I hope you found this insightful and encouraging. Do not give up. Don't panic. Don't hit that panic button. Be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Then this just happened. And don't react as well. Don't react in any negative way. If there's anybody that triggered that, do not let that be the reason for you to react a certain way. Write it out. See it through. Pray for that guidance and seek that counsel from God. Peace and love. Like, share, and subscribe. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, drop it in the comments below. Trust in Jesus. Have an amazing one. Thank you so much for checking out my video. My goal is to be able to share as much knowledge, wisdom, experience that I've been given, privilege from God over the years, to be able to give that to you, and also be able to receive from you as well. This can definitely be a two-way dialogue. It doesn't have to be one way at all. It's just for us to be engaged. And I'm just continuously sharing as things that I see move along the market. So I hope you find insights, and your feedback is greatly appreciated as well. How can you support me? Right now, I have these wristbands. You can get them at luxury.com. I've been selling them on eBay for quite some time. It just says make your statement. It's just an encouraging, inspirational message. You can purchase these right now, available on there. Eventually, it will be spun off to other things, and I'll have other products, but that's one way you can do right now. But most importantly is just making sure you receive something from the content I've given. And if you have any feedback, that is probably the most valuable thing I could say you can give to me. So I appreciate it, and I hope that we can continue to build a long-term relationship with each other and just grow with one another. Peace. And if you have any questions, definitely drop it below.
Hustle, 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 step.